Oh, hello there. You seem to have caught me studying my map. You see, in this current age of the world, World War III is becoming increasingly likely. But how would it start? Well, in today's video, I'm going to discuss not just World War III, but a World War III scenario, how it would happen, and in my opinion, how the world will look after it. So how is this scenario going to start? Well, I think it's going to have a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. So, immediately, we're going to see America join this war. It has a defense commitment to Taiwan, and it is probably going to be very sick of Chinese aggression. So, America's going to join in. Who else is going to join? Canada? Probably. I mean, them Canadians, very strong. If you're from Canada, your country's not that strong. I'm sorry. Other Pacific allies may join, like South Korea, Japan, and Australia. Now, this, actually, probably the Philippines might join as well. Now, this is not looking good for China. If you're Chinese in this scenario, yeah, you're screwed. So, we're going to give China some friendings, like North Korea. And, Iran, because Iran loves the West so very much. So, now, would Russia join? Maybe. But let's just say, to make the scenario more interesting, Russia does join, bringing in its allies of Kazakhstan and Mongolia, really, changing the entire war with those two. Belarus will join. Russia's already at war with Ukraine, so Ukraine will join. I'd think Britain and France would join. Poland joins because it doesn't like Russia very much. Now, would Turkey join? I think I'm gonna say Turkey will join just to spite Iran. And with Turkey joining, oh no, shots fired. Yeah, the entire Middle East is getting in on this war. I'm not even going to bother to name everyone that has just joined. But, so yeah, nearly the entire Middle East is in, because that's Middle Eastern doctrine. If one country joins, everyone must murder each other. Anyway, now, not Pakistan. Now, moving over to this region, we see we see China's great friend of India. Now, would India join this conflict? I don't know, because India is a very strong country, second strongest economy, not second strongest economies, biggest population, fourth strongest economy, fourth strongest military, and hates China. But, would it join because it has ties with Russia, I think India would stay neutral, because I'm going to make Pakistan stay neutral, and I don't think unless Pakistan joins, India will join. Anyway, Myanmar, I think it's a Chinese ally, though correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, so for now, I think these will be our teams. Actually, no. Germany's going to join, just to make the map look better. Now, you might be wondering why NATO isn't activated. Well, this all started because China invaded Taiwan. No NATO country has been attacked, and only the main US backing allies have joined NATO. Oh, I forgot to call it New Zealand. So New Zealand, you constantly get left off maps. I just forgot about you. Anyway, so let us begin. We'll begin in the Korean Peninsula, where we see the South Koreans doing a reverse Korean War and beginning to invade the North. Now, there is no way, shape, or form where North Korea beats the South. South Korea, in this time, South Korea's been preparing for this, and they want revenge. So, we're going to see a Korean invasion up. Pyongyang will fall, and the South Koreans will basically push to where the Americans and South Koreans pushed in the First Korean War. Then, in the First Korean War, China's going to arrive, and it's going to push them back. It's going to retake Pyongyang. They're going to get pushed basically back to the parallel, and they're going to get pushed a little bit into South Korea. But here's the thing. I think in a straight fight of Japan, South Korea vs. China and North Korea, China and North Korea would win. China's just way too strong. But China's has to focus on taking Taiwan, has to focus on America, has to send troops to help in Europe, has to send troops to help in the Middle East. I don't think they'd be able to take Seoul. So this is how the map's going to be for now. So now we go to Taiwan. What Taiwan? Yep, so Taiwan's going to fall pretty quickly. I mean, it's a very strong country, and I know they've been preparing for this for years. But, like, let's be real, China's going to take them out really easily. So, that's all for now in Asia. Let's go to everyone's favorite region, the Middle East. And I forgot to color in Israel. Whoops. Because Israel's definitely going to join this war. Never mind, it won't let me color in Israel. Yes. Okay, maybe it just... Okay, it doesn't want Israel to join. That's fine, you know? Probably make this video a whole lot less controversial. So, immediately we're going to see Saudi Arabia push around its allies. Push around the other countries in the Middle East, with Jordan falling and Iraq getting... Iraq. Well, that doesn't make sense. Iraq's going to get destroyed really quickly in this war. Yemen is... Oh, man. Look what happened to Yemen. That was an amazing joke, by the way. And you all found it very funny. And definitely not horrible. Now, that's a weird effect. No, it's just... Okie dokie. If you can't tell, this is my first time using this software. Let's try this color. No? Cool. Trying to color it in by hand. Please, ignore my amazing graphics. It's pretty... You guys... Yeah. So, anyway... Haha, Yemen fell. And this definitely was a very well edited bit. Anyway, Turkey's going to begin doing Turkey things. Now, this is a heavily fortified region, because Iran knows that Turkey's going to try and invade them through there. So the border's not going to move. Anyway, yeah, it's not looking good for the red team in the Middle East. Iraq is going to hold out only because of Iranian troops moving in. I'm sure the Iraqis would be very happy about that. Anyway, so this is... Actually, let me just quickly draw in the current Russian invasion of Ukraine. Looks something like that. Anyway, so we're going to say that Russia's fully mobilized here, and it's going to begin pushing in. It's just going to be halted just outside of Kiev, and it's going to continue to go here. It's going to try and push in as much as possible. Kiev is going to fall, and it's just going to try for Ukraine to capitulate before Western troops arrive. And Poland begins to invade Belarus, with Kaliningrad being completely taken over. Because I said so. Definitely, Kaliningrad is definitely not a very strong Russian enclave. Anyway, back to here, we're going to see China continue to push, and Seoul has been taken. Now, will it fall that fast? Probably not. And this is when we're going to see Russia do an oopsie. It's going to, while sending troops to Belarus, accidentally invade the Baltics. And this has major ramifications as it brings in NATO. This is going to take a while. So, now with NATO in the war, things were looking bad for the red team before, but now the red team's not going to stand a chance. But with the joining of NATO, another country is going to join the war on the red team, and that will be Serbia. Let me just colour them in after I'm done colouring in NATO, because NATO is a huge military alliance, and this is the very interesting part of the video where you just get to see me colour in countries. Anyhow, so now with most of NATO, correct me if I'm wrong, I might have missed a few countries we're going to see Serbia joining the war on Russia's team. Just call it in there. Okay, and now with the Russian invasion of the Baltics, we're going to see Russia just decide to commit to it and fully invade with Estonia capitulating Latvia falling, and a small invasion back into Kaliningrad. You don't count. I'm not even gonna. But with the joining of NATO, it means Finland's in the war. And we all know what Finland does to Russia. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty for Russia. Anyway, so a Finnish spearhead is going to cut off the Kola Peninsula from the rest of Russia, and it's going to capitulate. No. Okay, it's really not wanting me to use that tool. Okay, that's fine. And it's going to be pushed into. And the border's going to sit right around there, I'm going to say. And Finland's going to continue to push down, putting St. Petersburg, under threat. So the Russians are going to quickly reorganize their military and stem the Nordic tide, because Sweden and Norway are sending troops to help out Finland. Though I don't think Finland needs it. Finland's just insane. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Iraq it's not having a good day. The country capitulates, and Turkish and Saudi Arabian and Israeli, though it's not on the map, forces begin to push into Iran. So, now, Iran is a very strong country, but Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Yemen, not Oman, but not really them, they're going to begin to push in, but after a lot of fighting, the Iranian forces are going to be able to hold out. Meanwhile, so the Balkans are going to do Balkan things, with Serbia falling, and Kosovo and Kosovo is very happy and joins the conflict, because, they love Serbia. Meanwhile, NATO forces begin to reach Ukraine. Russia is very scared. So they begin a pushback. In a spearhead move, Kyiv is retaken, and they are able to push Russia back to... I forgot what that's called. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, Kaliningrad is fully retaken, and Latvia is beginning to be liberated. Meanwhile, Belarus is continuing to get completely destroyed by NATO forces. And we're going to now move on to Asia, because too much Europe in one sitting is not good for you. So Japan is going to take these islands. Good job, Japan. You could have helped South Korea. Or you could have taken a useless piece of snow. If you live on that island, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, so American troops are now landing in Korea, and they are now going to retake Seoul and push the Chinese back. They're going to move up the Korean Peninsula, taking Pyongyang, and Kim Jong-un is going to attempt to fire his nuclear missiles, but they're North Korean missiles, so they're just gonna land there in the ocean, not gonna do anything. Anyway, so they reach the Korean border, and begin to push into Manchuria, but unfortunately Chinese resistance stiffens here, and they're forced to stop. But since Russia doesn't really care about these lands, because they're a bit busy, they're going to continue to make a push up and make a really ugly front line that is definitely very good for them and not ineffective at all. Meanwhile, the US Navy is able to free out the seas around Taiwan, and the liberation of the country begins. Well, it's not really a country, but the liberation of Taiwan begins. And Myanmar is going to get attacked. So American forces are going to take the bottom of the country and begin to push up. Unfortunately, I don't know where the capital of Myanmar is. Please forgive me. But I'm just going to say that the main military of Myanmar falls, and now it's mostly Chinese troops. That is just going to fall back to this line. Why? Why that line? I don't know. I don't really know my geography of Myanmar. I'm very sorry. So, if we zoom out, it's not looking good for the red team. Russia's been almost completely taken out of Ukraine. Iran is barely holding on in the Middle East. China has lost the Korean Peninsula and is now holding back American forces here. And Russia is about to get one of its largest cities taken by Finland. But are they going to surrender? No, they're the red team. What do you think they are? Idiots? So they're going to instead do what all countries do when they get really close to losing. Call in allies and conscription. That's a C. Can't call it a C. So they're going to call in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or the Stani nations from the Central Asian region that I don't know the name of. Not going to call in this man, because these two countries are at war. I don't know their names, I'm sorry. Now, the big one here is Pakistan. These countries, they don't really matter. But Pakistan is going to join another country. Oh, no. Now India's in the fighting. Sri Lanka is going to join because they've been allied with China and China wants to do a southern invasion of India. Now India's now in the war and it's immediately going to do what it's always wanted to do. It's going to begin the invasion of Pakistan. So they're going to do a deep hitting strike to take the capital. Meanwhile, other forces will begin to push around. Now, Pakistan is an incredibly strong country. Top 10, I think 9 or 8, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But India is fourth, and Indians have been wanting to do this for years. But so I'd say they were a bit more prepared, maybe they would do this. But this came at the cost of Pakistan pushing into here, and Kashmir becomes the latest invasion ground. Now, there's a problem with Kashmir, and that's that no one wants to go here. If you want hell, if you want a very biblically accurate hell, just start an Indian, Pakistani, and Chinese conflict and maybe one of the soldiers to invade Kashmir. Not going to be fun. Meanwhile, China begins its invasion here because, if you're wondering why nothing's moving here, Himalayan mountains, and mountains are not fun to fight against. But here is less mountainy, so the Chinese forces are going to push in and also do a counterattack on the Myanmar front, but it's going to stall out when Indian reinforcements arrive. Meanwhile, India's going to try to invade Sri Lanka, but it's going to fail because of the Chinese Navy. China's got a really strong navy. Anyway, because of the conscription, China's going to be able to push back American forces to the border of North Korea and even begin a small invasion. So, now how does the war continue from here? In Asia? I don't know. But in Europe, it's not going to be pretty if you're Russian. So, the Baltics are beginning to be liberated as the capital of Latvia, I think it's around there, I don't know, is retaken. And a Finnish division retakes Estonia. Now, the Russians have just lost nearly all of their claims, and Belarus is going to be completely taken. So now the Belarusian government flees to Moscow, which probably won't be safe for very long. Ukraine is getting even liberated further, and here it's going to get taken. So, where is the war going to go from here? So, never mind. With the retaking of the Baltic countries and Belarus's capitulation, things are rapidly turning against the red team. But back in Pakistan, we can see the Pakistani military is able to push back the Indians, not fully back to the border, but basically back to the border. While we see an Indian counteroffensive retaking the area that the Pakistanis took in the more southern region of their border and doing a small attack into the country. We can see a breakthrough on the border. Oh God, what's that country called? Damn it. Sorry, I forgot. Myanmar, that's its name. And we can see Chinese forces pushing in and severing the connection between the American forces there and India as they continue to push into the country. Now, India's military... Oh, whoops. Sorry. I'll edit this out of the video. So, India's military has been oh, that's really ugly. Okay. Has been pushed back to this choke point here. Now, don't ask why China's accidentally invading Bangladesh. That's just a slight misclick of the mouse. Now, they've been pushed back to here, which is where the Indians will make their front. In other news in Europe, sorry. Goodness, this software's not very efficient. We can see the South Koreans and Japanese be able to push the Chinese back to the northern border, and a small landing over here in Russia is made in an attempt to divert the Chinese attention. This doesn't work as no one, including China, cares about these lands. It's snow. Russia doesn't defend it, and China definitely ain't. So they make a spearhead here, trying to get to Manchuria. Well, not really spearhead. They make this the final front line before they begin reaching more resistance. So, the second invasion of Sri Lanka, because remember, they tried the first one, didn't work, goes successfully with help from the American Navy to push back the Chinese defensive force that was preventing the Indians from invading Sri Lanka the first time. In the Middle East, the front line is broken with an Iranian pushback, taking the Saudi Arabian and Turkian forces not back to the border, but pretty close. This comes at a large cost to the Iranian military, and the question remains, is it worth it? Probably not. Now, with NATO forces, actually, because not more, well, technically Finland was there, with NATO forces entering Russia and taking St. Petersburg, which is around here, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, things are really turning bad on the Eastern Front. Though technically, is this the Eastern Front? Yeah, I don't know. The Eastern European Front. A total collapse of Russian forces in the north is imminent as more and more as an NATO encircling movement pushes down to the spearhead here, and these forces are wiped out, encircling quite a large Russian army. By now, Russia's getting pretty darn scared and begins calling on China to help it. Now, China's really quite annoyed like this, that Russia couldn't hold its crap together. Now, remember, this isn't NATO plus America. America is focusing on China. This is just a European NATO. And not even without Turkey. So, China's really quite annoyed that Russia can't hold its crap together, but it sends troops anyway. Ukraine is now liberated with a large NATO pushback, and now they're going to do what Hitler could not, and do a spearhead cutting off Russia from these southern areas. Now, of course, they can still go through Kazakhstan, but it's going to be slower and more inefficient. The problem with spearheads, you see, is they can be easily broken by a well-organized force. But Russia's not a well-organized force, so this one's going to hold. This finally allows Georgia to join the conflict, and not Georgian, but like a Turkey and Georgian force begins pushing up and taking these lands. See, skinny mustache man, this is how it's done. So, with Russia's imminent collapse and more pushbacks on the Iranian border, with even these heavily defended areas getting taken and the northern capitulation of the country, we can see that the war is really not going well for the Red Team. So they're going to do something which is not a horrible plan. China's going to focus all of its military here, try to capitulate as many countries as possible, and then they're going to call for a peace deal and try and use these lands as bargaining power, as they're not going to be able to win the war, and China knows it. So, a large force moves down and and pushes the Americans back in Myanmar, forcing them to retreat through here. China's able to get Laos and Cambodia to join, and they try and convince Thailand, but it's not going in. This forces Vietnam to join the blue team. This is not really what China wanted. China quite wanted just a de-escalation there, so they'd be able to easily push back in Myanmar, but it's fine. The Vietnamese forces begin to invade Laos and Cambodia. Whoopsie-doo-dah, sorry. Laos and Cambodia expect Chinese reinforcements to come and help them, but, they don't because they have bigger problems, like the pushback in the Koreas. A large spearhead force moves down and takes Pyongyang, which I think is around there. I don't know, there or there. And encircles a large amount of Japanese and Korean force, which have to leave by boat in what it's now, I was going to call it Dunkirk 2.0, but that's not a Dunkirk, never mind, bad joke. And the third invasion of South Korea begins. The Korean people are quite sick of it, but this one won't go as well. They're not going to be able to take Seoul and are halted just outside of it, with the final border being there. They are also able to do a large pushback of the Japanese forces there, retaking here and the island. I don't know what it's called, to be honest. By now, the Chinese Navy is really just holding this area because it's just been weakened by the Japanese, South Korean, Indian, and mostly American navies. So, with this stellar counteroffensive going pretty well for China, Pakistan's going to do the same thing, except Pakistan is no China, so it's going to be able to do not too bad. It's going to be able to liberate these areas, push India out of the country, and do a bit of an invasion of Kashmir. But this comes with a lot of manpower, and it really doesn't do very much, as India immediately counterstrikes and, basically just takes back the land they just lost and a bit more. Good job, Pakistan. You just heavily shot yourself in the foot. Anyway, by now, both sides are really tired of fighting, and as NATO continuously deals more and more blows against Russia, the red and blue sides meet for peace, with this being the final world borders. Now, who won this war? Definitely the blue team. Iran's not about to capitulate, I would say, but they're well on their way if the war continued. Pakistan is getting incredibly weak with the constant Indian attacks, though I don't think India would be able to take the country. The Pakistanis would fight to the very last man. Russia is collapsing, to be honest. It can't stand the weight of Europe, and even though China has done major pushbacks in Asia, it knows it can't keep it up and hold these lands. So give me a moment, and I'm going to draw up a peace treaty for this war. So, let's look at this peace treaty. We'll start down in Europe, where we can see that India has gotten half of Myanmar, and the other half of Myanmar, which is barely surviving, is going to join Thailand, as I think there are rebels in Myanmar who want to join Thailand. So, they're going to become one country. Oh, no. Sorry, I just removed the Indian border instead of the Thai border. Whoops. Whoopsie-doo. Edit this part out of the video. Edit this part out of the video. And I just did the same mistake again, because I'm a genius. Yeah, so basically, India gets this bit of land, and the rest of Myanmar joins Thailand. We can see over here that nothing has changed on the Indian, Pakistani, and Chinese border, because if it were to change, we'd see mass bloodshed. In the Middle East, we can see that Saudi Arabia has gotten a lot of Iraq. Oh god. Sorry. My brain's not really working today. That's really strange. Okay. And Turkey has also gotten a lot of land. Oh god. Yemen has just... Oh man, what happened to Oman? It's just gotten carved up by Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Saudi Arabia wanted the coast of the Red Sea so that they could more control it, but they didn't get it, and now they are sad. In Europe, I apologize for these borders, but I am British, so it is in my blood to draw bad borders. We can see that Finland got the entire Kola Peninsula. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, which is the wrong order, but oh well, have gotten quite a bit of Russian land. Kaliningrad is split between Poland and Latvia. I think that's Latvia. No, that's Lithuania. We can see a very big Ukraine with all of Crimea back. Belarus just decided to unite with Russia. And you might be wondering why these countries got so much land. It's because Putin's still in power. This was the only conditions that the West would agree to for Putin to stay in power. They really wanted to put another government in. So, that's going to be the end for this scenario. Do you think that it was accurate? Anyway, I don't know how to end videos, so bye.